Nelson ran home, sweating and shaking. Before the door could be opened for him, Nelson bumped into his house. Trembling, he couldn't speak, his teeth chattering and his knees shaking. Meet my neighbour Nelson. He's full of himself, always claiming he knows better than anyone else. Nelson is an animal vendor. He buys and sells pigs in the local markets around. One day, some of his father's friends came over. Nelson overheard them talking about ghosts they encountered in their youth. Nelson laughed at their stories, claiming he wouldn't be scared. He even said he'd confront a ghost man to man. One of the old men got annoyed and warned Nelson not to speak of what he didn't understand. Nelson waved it off, still boasting. "If I meet any ghost," he said, "I will confront it man to man and hold it with my bare hands until the day breaks." A few weeks later, on Widikun Market Day, an important market in our area, Nelson left very early at 3 a.m. for the market, because it was quite a distance from our village and he wanted to get there early. So, he walked through the dark farm path. The path was eerie, with scattered trees and bushes. The moonlight barely lit the way. As he walked, he saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. He called out, but there was no response. He walked closer, still calling out. The figure didn't move. As Nelson approached, it started growing taller, leaning towards him like a falling tree. Goosebumps rose on his skin. Fear gripped him as he walked backward. Just as he turned to run, the figure stretched out its hand towards him. Nelson screamed, "Jizzo!" running for his life. His scream woke the neighbourhood. Nelson ran home, sweating and shaking. Before the door could be opened for him, Nelson bumped into his house. Trembling, he couldn't speak, his teeth chattering and his knees shaking. Those of us who were woken by the noise gathered around him in his house. He was still trembling and couldn't speak. I had never seen the so bold Nelson scared this way. My brother and I tried not to laugh. Nelson didn't go to the market that day. He was too shaken. Later that morning, the old man who had warned Nelson visited. He asked, "Did you see it? Did you catch it with your bare hands?" Then he left. We were troubled. How did the old man know what happened to Nelson? Could he have been the one who appeared to him?